Default. One, two, 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 one. Hello, hello everyone. Can you hear us properly? Maybe let us know in the chat, wherever you would like to, on either Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn newly, because we added this channel. And Michael here, he can actually see your messages.
Yeah.
So he will be able to tell whether or not you can hear us properly, and if he should adjust the volume. So hopefully you can all hear us. Great, yeah? So it seems that everyone can actually hear us. So thank you again for joining this stream. As we teased in the video and in an email, we'll be talking about some special features of our controllers. So this training or this stream will be a bit different from previous sessions that we had. Any questions that you might have, please write them in a chat. We have a ton of videos on our YouTube. You can also check those out. We have a lot of tutorials. And if you still won't be able to find anything, write us an email or send us a message anywhere or everywhere. And we'll be more than happy to respond. Hopefully we will be able to fit this session in 1 hour. And I will be talking about stuff such as synchronization and how you can use our devices that normally you would use for digital strips for DMX. I've got a small presentation with very few slides that I will show you. I hope that I won't bore you that much. So if there is no question right from the start, I think without much further ado we can jump into the presentation. So I will ask Michael to switch to my computer. Yes, exactly. LED controllers and special features. What I hope I will teach you today and what you might learn today. How synchronization works with our devices, how you can use DMX to synchronize multiple devices, and how to use DMX output and SPI outputs. I am talking, of course, about our LEDs 3 or SPI matrix devices. Maybe I can tell you a little bit about those. So I will ask Mike to switch to overhead camera. Nice. So this is one of two controllers that I will be working with today, or actually I will be working with three. This is SPI matrix, a ArtNet to SPI converter. It has 4 outputs, each can handle 1024 RGB pixels or 768 RGBW pixels. It has a lot of advanced features. You can use it as a standalone device, or you can use our software or any other software for that matter to play any kind of content that you would like. So this is one device that I will be working with. I have actually 3 over here. I hope that you can see it. And I will tell you in a minute why I have 3 devices. Why would you need synchronization? Imagine that you have a project, and on that project you've got a certain number of pixels that you want to use, right? If you want to use more than one device, that means 4096 pixels, you need to add a second device. Of course, if you have a software, if you have an option to have a software on site, you don't have to worry about any synchronization at all, because you will simply connect multiple devices, hook them up to your PC and play the content from your computer. However, if you don't have a PC at site, you don't have an option to have a PC at site or on place where you have the project, then you need to sync multiple devices together. I'm not very good at drawing, but I will try to draw an example for you. We have a state-of-the-art technology here. Nice. So, as I have told you, you got one controller, second controller, and if you have a PC, then you are fine, because you connect PC to one controller, to a second controller, and you're good to go. You can connect up to 4096 pixels to each of the controllers. However, scratch the PC, you don't have that on site, you have to connect multiple devices together. The way the synchronization works is, with our devices at least, you need to have one more device. That device, that is why I have 3 devices actually on the table. One more device, this is not a PC, this will be actually easier. So you have 2 SPI matrices and second, and you need to add third one. And that third device won't play the effects. You can't actually hook any pixels to that device. It will only serve as a synchronization device. It will send time code and what animation you want to actually play. You can combine SPI matrix and LEDs 3 devices. For those that want to use our LED Ethernet Controller 3, that's the red box device, you can purchase additional SPI matrix and you can combine the two. And the one SPI matrix or LED 3, you will use only as a sync device. The way we named this, or how it works, these two SPI matrices are slaves. And this is a master. Master giving out commands. What animation, what's the brightness, what's the speed of the animation. It gives all of the commands to the controllers that are connected. You can use Ethernet cable, because maybe an overhead camera mic, to hook and to connect the controllers together. You will use a Ethernet switch. So you'll go from the master device to a slave and then to a second slave. Ethernet cable is great because you can use a really long cable and you don't have to worry about any signal degradation. So you will connect the three devices together. What you have to do beforehand, of course, is create your animations in the software. I can go through that process right now with you. Maybe if there is any question in regards to this, let us know in the chat. I already have some effects prepared on the controllers, but I will create new ones so that you get the idea of the whole process. If you can mic switch to my PC, great. Those of you that are seeing this for the first time, as I said, we have a lot of videos online, and you can find a lot of tutorials where you can actually teach yourself how to create a mapping. Since we are working with SPI matrix, we have to go into a ArtNet portion of the mapping, and there I need to add two devices. I do know that my two devices have IP addresses 1 and 2, and the master device has IP address 3. So I can add my first device, add a digital strip, since we are working with digital strips, and I can draw a simple line. I do know that in one of my strips that I have on the table, I have 73 pixels. And then I can take the strip, drag and drop it into the controller, and just like this, I have added my first strip to a controller that has IP address 1. I can add a second device. That has an IP address 2. I will add new digital strip, and the software is smart enough that it remembers that before I put in 73 pixels in my LED segment, so it added again 73 pixels. And I can take that strip, drag and drop it into my second controller, and that should be it for the mapping. I can add a simple digital effect. Is it the overhead camera? Yes, great. So this is a good example why it is very important to connect the correct cables. Wait, can you see that? I don't have the two connected actually. Sorry for the chair. come on. Ah, here it goes. So, it only needed some time to actually connect. This is an example where you don't need the synchronization because you have the PC connected to your devices, and it will play the animation flawlessly, and it won't get out of sync anytime. Of course, we want to, or I want to show you how you can sync these devices, because you won't be able to have the PC. I can create a couple more effects. Very quickly. My poor mouse is stuttering. I don't know why. I managed to select this, the very same effect. Okay, so this one, once again, you can see it's playing, and I will add one more effect. So 1, 2, 3 effects. I need to get those effects to the SD cards that are in the devices. For that, I will go into the web config of each device. You can access that by typing the IP address of the controller into your browser. That is, if you have the controllers connected to the same network as your PC, or if you have your controllers connected directly to your PC. And as you can see here, I already have opened web config for a device that has an IP address 1, and I can open a second device that is also on the network. And in here I can go into the advanced settings, and I can upload the effects remotely. Before I will do that, and before I will export the effects, I will do one more thing, because we recently added one nice feature into the web config. If you have some effects on your SD card in your device and you are not really sure what is there, you can simply format an SD card from the web config, and this way you know that the card is clean, and you can upload your fresh effects. So this is a nice new feature that we added just recently. Those of you that have our controllers already, we always recommend to update the firmware of your controller so that you have all the new features. So I have nothing on an SD card, and I want to upload the effects that I have created, those 3. I have to go back into the software. If you are working with SPI matrix, there is one additional step that is different from LED Ethernet controller 3. You need to add a, we call it internally a dummy device. This IP address has nothing to do with the IP address of your controller. You just need to add some IP address, and you need to take the strip, and similar to the process where you drag and drop it into a ArtNet device, you have to drag and drop it into the second, into a dummy device or Ethernet device. So you got your first strip and your first controller. And you can go, in order to export the effect, to Tools, and here we are using this format, LN2. The other two formats are actually for DMX devices, and this one is an older format that we are no longer using. From time to time, customers are writing us that my animation is not working. Why is that? It happens that they export in a wrong format, so always make sure to export in this new format. It's faster, it's better, and it's working. You can either export one scene or you can export a whole bank. Since I want all three effects, I can export whole bank. You will select your dummy controller, and you will place the effects. Say somewhere on desktop. And in here you are actually selecting what should be the starting index of your animation that you are exporting. So you can export these three animations next time and you will add an index 3. So you'll have 6 animations and they will be basically the same. But for now, of course, one is correct. And you can take these animations that you have exported, find them on your PC. 1, 2, 3, LN2, that is a correct format. And in the advanced settings, on the very same tab where we were actually formatting your SD card, you will find upload files. And this is the one that you want to use, file. Once again, drag and drop, and upload file to an SD card. You can double check whether the transfer was successful. If you'll go to autoplay, and in player, you can see that we have 3 scenes. 1, 2, 3. So the transfer was successful. And I can do the same with the second controller. For the sake of this presentation, I can add another dummy device, and I can take my second strip for the second controller, drag and drop it into my dummy device. And once again, I can go into Tools, and there I will select Export Bank. Select the second dummy device, hit OK, and in here I can create a new folder. I'll go to my second controller, and in the advanced settings you will find file, and drag and drop. Let's presume that the transfer was successful, since it was with the first device, but maybe just to double check so that I can show you where you can actually find it. You can go again into autoplay, player, and you got 3 scenes on the second card as well. So we have all our effects that we want to play on SD cards. Now for the setup of the synchronization, for the actual settings that you need to do in order to start the synchronization. There is another great feature in the web config that is called the device list. And in the device list, you can see all the controllers that are connected on your network or on your PC. I will just hook the third controller that I have, that will be my master device. need to turn it on. And I will again use a Ethernet switch. Maybe Mike, an overhead camera, please. Great. And I will connect it to the other two controllers. Diodes on a Ethernet port are blinking, so I should be okay. And now, once I hit preload list, I can see my third controller as well. As I've shown you in my drawing, you need to set the two devices to a slave status and one device to a master. We can start with the master device, where you can actually find this in advanced settings, obviously. And if you will scroll down, you will find beta features. And in here, you got all the settings necessary for your synchronization setup. Here, you will select that my third controller wants to be a master device. You can already see that it is poor mouse. You can already see that it is syncing whatever device might appear on the network. Don't forget to hit Save Synchronization. And now in the very same tab in Advanced Settings, you will find at the bottom Synchronization. Here you will check a slave. The time should be the same. Maybe I can show you this side by side. So as you can see, it's already syncing or synced. This is my master device. This is something else. This is one of my slaves. And I have to do the same for my second controller. In a status bar, you can already see that the controller is in a sync mode and that the card is present. Status bar, very handy. You can find a lot of information there. Great for troubleshooting. Okay. I think we can close this. And we can try whether or not we did everything correctly. And if we will switch to an overhead camera, Michael, thank you. I don't have the software connected to my controllers because I have closed it, saved it, that's also very important. I don't have a software connected to my controllers, and the animation is working perfectly. On both devices, it's synced. In the player, if we can go back, Michael, into the great. In the player, I can actually change the animations. Or I can go, thanks, or I can go into player and choose which animation I want to use. Of course, there are a lot of other features and settings that you can use. Just remember that all this is done in a master device. So you have to make sure that you are in the web configuration of your master device. Only there you are able to switch between the effects or change whatever setup or setting you want. For example, speed. Say we will put in 10. The animation will be really slow. Or we will put in 100. The effect of any change in the web config is immediate, so you can see what you are actually doing in the very second that you type in whatever you changed. And this is the default. You can of course stop the animation and play around. There is a second option how you can change the animations. Let's assume you don't have access to the web config because you don't have the PC. You can use the two buttons that are actually on the device. There are two buttons. And just like this, I am playing on two devices the same animation that is actually synced. There is another option how you can trigger these effects, and that is you can either send a ArtNet command or a DMX signal to the device, and let's say with a console or some device that can send TMX, I don't know of any other example, you can trigger your animations. I actually have a console here, so I can show you how you can do that. If there are any questions, as of now, we can answer those. There are not. Okay. I will just take my water. Give me a second. Dick. Refreshing. So, another option how you can trigger effects that you have while in the synchronization mode with the three devices that you have. And remember, you have to have three devices in order for the synchronization to work. But as I said, you can combine LED Ethernet controller and SPI matrix, so you should be fine for any project that you might have. And this feature especially is great for any, well, not permanent projects, but maybe some rental solutions or something that is not permanent. For that, it's actually great. I've got a console here, and I want to show you how you can trigger if you don't want to use the buttons. How you can trigger your effects, still synced with DMX. Something is wrong with my mouse, Michael. It's like, I don't know, the battery is full. Okay. In order to trigger your effects with DMX, remember every setting, every setup that you want to do in a master device, because only that device can change any and all settings on your other two devices. in the web config of the master device, you can go into a DMX tab, and here you can find all the settings that you want in regards to DMX. There are two modes that you can work in with our devices. A pixel mode, that is, you move your slider and it will control a red channel. Second slider will control on a console, I'm talking about. Second will control the second channel, so green, and the third blue. You get the idea. What we want is actually a SD card mode. And in here, you can, with your DMX console, change the animations. Or I still certainly hope that you can change. As you can see in this portion of webconfig, you got 7 channels that are used in the SD card mode. And these 7 channels are actually controlling brightness, which animation you want to play, the speed of the animation, and also you can color them in red, green, or blue, or white for that matter if you have RGBW. Michael, if you will switch to an overhead camera, the effect that was playing actually stopped because I moved the first slider, which controls the brightness of my animation. The second slider will control what animation I want to play. Here it gets a bit tricky, because with this slider you can't exactly hit, well, you can, but you will spend a lot of time trying to hit an exact number. For that, we have a nice feature that is called animation step size. What does it do? Now animation will change every time I will move, or I will change the value for 1. But if I will change this to, say, 20, maybe you will be able to see nothing is happening because it's playing effect 0, which is black or dark, or did not turn the outputs at all, or did not play any animation. But once I will move it above 20, it will start the first animation. Can you see the numbers? Yeah. So I will move it to 40, second animation, 60, third, and so on.
Let it play.
But the animation is not playing. The animation is not playing. Why is that? We have selected a animation number 3, but the speed, we did not move the third slider. Once we will move it up, it will slowly or fast change the speed of your effect. Default value is, I think, 128. And just like this, the animation is playing. So these 3 channels are actually those that you will be using probably. And this is another option how you can play your effects from the synced devices that you have on the network. We can maybe color them red, or green, or blue. But we don't have a RGBW strip, so the last channel for white is not working actually. So this is great if you want to change the color of your animation real quick. You can do that with your console or with any other device. that can send DMX. So we have an option to trigger the effects with the buttons that you have on the device. You can hook up a console to your controllers, or you can use the web configuration, the autoplay section, and you can switch your animations like this. All this we developed in order to provide you more options how you can play whatever effect you want, wherever you want. A couple of these features were developed, we sort of get the idea ourselves, and some of the features were developed because a customer wrote us a message that they want to have this option, or they lack this particular feature. And we are very open, and we do like to adjust the devices to a certain extent, of course, to the needs of you, those that are working with the devices on any kind of project. So if you have your own idea how we can make this better, or if you want some other feature that maybe it's not already there, write us. We'll be more than happy to add it into the pool of options how you can control this. And I think that would be it for the synchronization. Oh, one more thing that I want to show you. However, it's a bit more complicated to do it right now. And I may try to draw it for you. I will do that. I can actually turn this off.
If I can add just one point, for this tutorial video, we have very short animations and short effects, but this synchronization is good, especially if you have, let's say, a 1 hour long show. So this synchronization will keep all the devices synchronized together. And it doesn't matter if you use 2 of them or 3 of them or 20. The master device will send the synchronization data to all of the devices which are connected to a network. So you can use it even for big installations with, I don't know, 100,000 LEDs.
That's a good point, actually, and it's something, it's related a bit to what I wanted to talk about in this short part. The mapping that we have created, you noticed that we had the same number of pixels connected to both devices. You can, of course, have 4,000 pixels on one device and just 1,000 on a second device. Of course, you need the master controller for synchronization. The mapping in this case will be a bit different because you have to adjust for the actual number of pixels that you have on each controller. So you can have I won't be drawing a strip, but I can draw a screen. So this is your 4096 pixels, and just a smaller part is here. So you have to make sure that you always have a proper mapping. And then, of course, you have to make sure that you export the effects to a proper device. So I have 2 strips, 2 segments that are the same length. They have the same number of pixels. However, if I will have something more complicated, this, then I have to make sure that I have done my mapping properly and that I have exported the effects properly. You can even play a video on the 2 LED screens that I have drawn you. You can play a video, it will be synced, but you have to make sure that you export correct effects and that you create a proper mapping. We have a 2-hour tutorial on our YouTube where we are talking about the mapping in general and about ArtNet mapping also. So I do recommend to check that out, and you will find a lot of interesting and important tips there on how to properly do the mapping. Of course, if you will have any questions in regards to this, we can always help you. Something else, Michael, that you want to add? No? Okay. I will just take some water and I'll be right back. Option how you can synchronize, or another option. You can use not these SPI matrices or LED 3 controllers, but you can use our small SPI LED controllers, and you can sync those with DMX. If you will give me a minute, I will put in here something that I have prepared. I will need this. And the best way how you can see this, if I will align these, you can see my bald head. Sorry for that.
We are used to it, don't worry.
Okay.
I hope it's not smoke machine again.
Not this time. Okay, we will see. Okay. Well, you should turn off so that you won't distract us. This here is a SPI LED controller, a small device that can handle 1024 pixels. It's great for standalone projects. It does not have a Ethernet, so you cannot connect it directly to your PC or to a software. Although it has something that that maybe reminds you of a Ethernet port. It's actually a port for DMX in and DMX out. And the way how you can synchronize multiple devices is with DMX. If I will because I have already prepared the animations. Wait. Ještě raz? So I have prepared in advance some animations. There is one that I particularly like, but I won't be able to find it. I want to start like 3 animations, and of course they won't be synced. But with the help of this DMX console, we will make them sync. I'm not able to play the same animation on the 3 devices, but you get the idea. You will somehow be able to find on an SD card the same animation on all 3 devices, and you will play it at the same time. Somehow you will be able to play it on all 3 devices at the same time. Of course, they will be out of sync. What you can do is you can take an adapter cable from 3-pin XLR to RJ45, I think it is called. And since the device has a DMX in, you can hook this to your console. You can see on the controller that yellow LED, once it started to receive DMX signal, started to flash. That is an indication that yes, I am receiving DMX signal, send me some commands. Similarly to SPI matrix, you have to make certain adjustments to the settings of your SPI LED controllers. What do I mean by that? You have to, similar to SPI matrix, turn on a SD card mode. And yes, there are 2 modes with SPI LED controller, SD card mode and a pixel mode. Since you cannot connect to your controller, you have to open the software, our software of course. You create your effects. And everything. You are happy with those, and you have to also export a settings file. That is a small text file that you can find in the software in settings, and you can find it in here. From the 2 modes, you will select SD card mode, starting DMX address, brightness, and stuff like that. And it will again use 7 channels. You will export this 7 channels to control brightness, speed, what animation you want to play, and stuff like that. So you will export this file, save it somewhere on your PC, and unfortunately you have to take out the SD card and you have to manually upload it onto the card. But I have already done that. Yes. Opa. I will try to move this here so that you can see changing values. First channel, brightness, but we did not start any animation. Oh, I remember now. 8 is the one that I like, but I won't be able to... this one. And speed. 128 is default. I will leave this running for a minute or two, and I will tell you once again, you can use fourth channel to change the color if you want to color your effect. After a couple of minutes, this effect will go out of sync. So it's great for any abstract animations or videos that you want to play, or for any animations that you will actually refresh, if that makes any sense. This is not the type of animation, the type of synchronization that we've shown you with the SPI matrix devices. You can play the same animation at the very same time, so it's good for a standalone project where you want to have multiple such devices, but it will in a couple of minutes get out of sync. This was used on I remember that one customer used it on a expo where he had 3 such small controllers, and he was playing on 3 large screens made of LED strips. He was playing very short animations only, so it was a great solution for him. It was the controller. You can control 1024 pixels, which is great. It has DMX in, so you can sync those. You can sync those animations. So overall, this might be a solution if you want to have the animation synced for special or particular cases. If I will change the animation, you can see that it is already out of sync. If I will change it, and if I will align it properly, you can see that it is playing correctly. So this is also good for certain types of projects. And I think I can turn this off. And of course, once you will turn off the source of DMX signal to your controller, it will start to play the animation that was previously playing, or a default animation, if you will set one up. So this is another thing that I wanted to present. And any questions, Michael? Any meaningful questions?
No.
Any stupid questions?
I'm sure there will be some after the users actually try it. So we will wait for them.
We will. And
yeah, maybe I would just mention one reason why the animation is out of sync after some time. The reason is simple. There is a separate timer in every one of those 3 devices. So they are not communicating to each other anyhow.
Prepni zdroj. Nie, transition musíš dať, aby ťa videli.
Oh.
Ja, dobre, sorry.
So this is the reason why they get out of sync. And it might take about 5 minutes, but then they will for sure get out of sync. Continue.
What's the time, Michael? Please.
1 hour 16.
1 hour 16. I do have 2 more things actually prepared, but I think 1 hour. Ešte aj vypni mňa. Ešte raz tlač jednotku. Thank you. I don't want to be 2 times on a screen. So 1 hour 16 minutes on, what day is today? Wednesday. I think that is enough. So we can move the 2 more topics that I have prepared to a next session. Those were actually, I wanted to show you how you can turn SPI outputs on the controller to DMX outputs and how you can use HTTP triggers. If you can't wait for 2 more weeks when we will talk about these, write us a message. We can certainly share how you can utilize these 2 features with our controllers. Sorry. Or you can write us anything else, of course. Thank you very much for joining the stream. I hope that you learned something. Thank you, Michael, for technical support. And I think that's it. Thank you very much. Michael, something?
Yeah, see you next time, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.